And we were two academics, and frankly, we did not have a clue.
Hello, everyone. Elle Ballard is here today on the Powered Global Women in Business podcast with my guest, Beverly Pimsleur. Hi, Beverly. Welcome.
Hi, Elle. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So great to meet you. So great to interview you. Heard of the method, so I'm excited for this conversation. Beverly Pimsleur worked with her late husband, Paul, to develop the renowned Pimsleur language programs. She's the author of the recently published memoir, Repeat After Me, A Love Affair with Language. Love it. Well, congratulations on the memoir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And congratulations on success with your language program. Where did that start from,
Well,
this whole
first of
language?
all, it started a very long time ago. My husband was a French professor, and he noticed that his students, no matter how many years they had studied French, nobody could speak. And there were very few ways to teach students to speak. And so he developed his own system, his own method, which he perfected over a couple of years. And to make the very long story a little bit shorter, we received a grant from what was called then the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. And we received a small amount of money to go to a country of our choice to see if this method really could work. And my husband was studying Chinese at the moment. He wanted to go to China, and that was really impossible at that point. And I was getting my degree in ancient history and Greek, and I said, wouldn't it be more fun to go to Greece? And he said, well, but I don't speak Greek. I said, you have 3 months to learn. And he accepted it. So we went to Greece. We set up a laboratory. We spent 6 months using ourselves as guinea pigs, like, what do you need to know? What do you need to know first? What do you need to know second? And we had people in the lab taking these programs. We got back to Washington. We took the program back, and the department so loved the program that they wanted my husband to quit his university job and to move to Arizona to the Thunderbird School. And Paul, who was a very independent person, did not want to work for the government. We did not want to move to Arizona. And he said, well, why don't we start our own business? If they think it's so good, we'll just start a business. Now, this is long before I think the word entrepreneur, we even knew that word. And we were two academics. And frankly, we did not have a clue how to do this business. But I had been in publishing previous to being in academia. And so I did have some idea of how you wrote brochures and you sent a mailing list and you got in contact, but we were not having much luck at all. And but we believed in this method. We really believed it could change the way people learned. And we continued to create programs. And our real breakthrough came with the Peace Corps, because one of the people who had taken our Greek program as a guinea pig, we tried it out on all our friends, had ended up to be the head of the Peace Corps in Ghana. And he called us and said, can you come to Africa to do for the Peace Corps volunteers what you did for Greek? So we went to Africa and we did a program in Tree. And then right after that, my husband was appointed, asked to be a professor at the Sorbonne. And so then we did our French program. He had also had a Fulbright in Heidelberg, where our son was born. So we had a German program. So we had 5 programs. And then, unfortunately, at a very early age, my husband died suddenly, and I was left with what to do about this business. And he had been speaking to a colleague who was really much more of a marketing man. And we got together and I liked him. And friends of mine said, oh, he's going to take advantage of you. You're a woman. But I just followed my instincts. And so Charles Heinley and I went into business and started writing new programs. And I got a lot of pushback from these men. They did not want to work with a woman, and particularly because I was not a linguist. But I was the only one who knew what this method was all about.
Yeah.
So anyway, we worked and worked and worked, and fast forward 20 years. We started out with 5 programs when I paired up with Charles Heinley, and when we sold the company to Simon & Schuster, we had 32 languages, and now they
Wow.
have 52. So that's a very short version of
Wow.
the Pimsleur method and what happened to it.
Yes, yes. Oh, thank you for telling us the story. Again, it's just so great to meet you because I'm familiar with method, and of course, my first degree is a teacher of English, and that's
Oh,
how I
wonder
know the
TESOL.
languages. Yeah, yeah,
Wonderful. Okay.
the languages and just the whole what how we learn about cultures when we learn the language, right? And so it's just really deeply. And then you mentioned Thunderbird. My husband actually graduated from Thunderbird school,
Oh,
and
wow. A
so
wonderful
yeah,
school. A wonderful
wonderful
school.
school. Yeah, wonderful school. Yeah, so such a great story, and I can only imagine in this all of these years that you're building and following your passion despite of all this, right? The roadblocks you had on the way, and you still continued, you still persevered because you believed in
Yes.
it. And I loved how you mentioned instincts as well, like you
Yes.
followed your intuition, and I love that. I can only imagine there's so many lessons and challenges that there were, but maybe there is one that that comes to mind that you could share with our listeners that helped you to continue to persevere, because deep inside, there was that voice that instinctively that you knew that you're on the right path.
Well, yes, I think the main thing is that I really did believe that this was a program that was going to change the way people learned languages. And our biggest, one of our really biggest challenges was to work with these different, we call them native speakers or native informants. Is probably not something we should say today, but we wanted, Charles and I, we only had 5 languages. We knew we wanted to add Russian, we wanted to add Chinese, we wanted to add Japanese. And everyone that we hired to help transform the original programs into another language, um, we met with a lot of resistance. They wanted to talk about grammar. They wanted to rewrite Paul's method. They wanted to bring words in sooner. They wanted to have a different script. And that was our biggest challenge. We knew that this original program worked, and we knew that it could work in multiple languages because we had done 5. And that was our biggest problem, that each person who came in to write the language, to adapt the language program into a new language, wanted to rewrite it. And we had to hold the line and say, no, you cannot start talking about verb tenses. And this is the past tense and this is the pluperfect tense. And that was not a part of the method. So I think that was our biggest challenge, to keep the method the way it worked, the way we knew it worked, and the way it did prove it worked.
And this was before all these language apps came into
Of
existence
course,
as we have
yes.
today, right?
Oh,
All
yes. I mean,
the
this is like we were dinosaurs considering today. I mean, these were languages on tape recorders. I mean, these were,
yeah.
little cassettes, and you had to have a cassette recorder and put your little cassette in the tape recorder. But of course, that was the idea, that we wanted to free people up from a classroom experience, that they could take this little tape recorder in their car, on a walk, while they were cooking dinner, and they could use it and be mobile, using it anywhere they wanted it to be. They did not have to go to a classroom.
Yeah, how
And that was
wonderful.
very innovative at
Yeah,
that
what is
time.
innovative? Yeah, exactly. What an innovative idea for that time, but also such a wonderful idea to be able to bring this bridge between cultures, as
Yes.
our world. And so when we travel or not travel, it's such a it's innovative idea for the time.
Well, and it gives you and interestingly enough, there were self-instructional programs on cassette recorders when we began our business. And the one that was selling the best, the very first sentence that that the student or person was supposed to learn, and this was an English program, the very first sentence is, "My tailor is rich." And of course, we thought that was the funniest thing. This is the very first thing you need to be able to say, "My tailor is rich." We said, we can do better than that. So we used ourselves as guinea pigs,
Yeah.
because we didn't speak Greek that well. So we had,
Right.
when we went to Greece, we thought, now, what is the very first utterance in the program when you step off that plane or off that boat? What do you need to say? You
Yeah.
need to say, "I don't speak Greek. Do you speak English?" And so that
Right.
was the, as you recall from the
That
program,
was
that's what you learn,
interesting.
and then we went from there.
That reminds me when I was learning English, it would be just, a small apple, big apple, or
Yes, yes,
all these phrases. Yeah.
exactly. And
And I was wondering, how do people, how do they pick like which one to introduce first, right? Like which sentences to introduce
exactly.
first.
So our
Mm-hmm.
idea was to bring you up to a conversational level as fast as possible. And as you remember, at the very end of the first lesson, in every single language, you were able to communicate, and that was our goal. And the
Yeah.
story is a lot more complex and a lot funnier, and and it's of course in the book that I wrote about the method and how it started.
Amazing, amazing. And I love languages myself because, I mean, language in itself is great. But then when I learn, it always expands my understanding of the culture,
Of
traditions,
course.
right, and everything that comes along with it. And that to me is such a wealth of knowledge and just an interesting new world. I was studying French at some point, and then it's still on my list. I want to go back to studying more and Spanish whenever I find time. So it's just always fascinates me how many doors it opens. It opens up to you because like the creative part of it and all the yeah, it's
Well,
so
for sure,
cool.
it gives you an into the culture that you could not have if you're not able to exchange a few words in that
Yeah,
language.
yeah, yeah, amazing. So, we are on the Empowered Global Women in Business podcast, of course, and I always like to ask, what does it mean to you? And of course, you are absolutely, your story. And thank you again for leading this, following your intuition and continuing this movement. But what does it mean for you to be an empowered global woman in business personally?
Well, first of all, it is an enormous personal satisfaction to have had a
Mm,
business that has succeeded. And I think at this point, what it means to me is, what can I give back to a younger generation? And my daughter, who has her own company, and I'm involved with that. And it is very exciting for me to see how much the world has changed toward women and women in business. And that's a great satisfaction to see how these young women are much more empowered than I was starting out. It took me a long time to really find my feet in this business, in a business. And they're so much further ahead than I was. And that's exciting to see that there's this
yeah.
generation of entrepreneurs who are confident and dedicated and devoted. So that's a great satisfaction.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and so wonderfully said that just this level of success, no matter what we go through and overcome all these challenges and within the growth itself, it just feels so rewarding. I want to take us to the rapid fire question section, and then I do want to talk about your book as well.
Oh, good.
Yes, yes, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I just have five quick questions.
Okay.
If you are you ready?
Yes, ready.
Okay, awesome. So my first question is your favorite book title.
Well, it's very hard to say a favorite, but I will say an influential book title,
Mm-hmm.
which is The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir, which is a book that very much
Mm.
influenced me in my 20s. And it's just been recently translated for the second time in English. And I think it is an amazing book about a woman who was very far ahead of her time,
Mm.
who wanted to see women empowered, who talked to women and told them they had another option. They just did not have to limit themselves to being wives and mothers if they didn't want to be. And that was very powerful for me because I knew I wanted to have a career. I wasn't sure I even wanted to get married or have children. I mean, I'm glad I did, but she gave me really the idea that I could have something that I wanted for myself, as well as as later if I wanted to have a family. But she was very empowering as a model, role
Mm.
model.
Beautiful, beautiful. I haven't heard of that book. Thank you for introducing. I wrote it down. I'll have to definitely check it out. Yeah, thank you. Okay, my second question is beach or mountains?
Well, I'm a July baby, so definitely sand and sun.
Yes, and then sun. Yes. Summer or winter?
Summer for sure.
Hmm. Favorite international destination to visit?
Well, I know it sounds a little banal, but I love Paris. I mean, I've been very
Me
privileged. I've traveled a
too.
lot all over the world. I love Istanbul. I love a lot of cities, but maybe because I lived in Paris, it really is in my heart.
Wonderful. And my final question is things that you have discovered about yourself recently.
I actually very recently discovered that I am really very happy, much happier than I ever thought I would be, to be in nature. I've been,
Mm.
someone who's lived in cities and worked and been striving. And recently, I visited my wonderful Italian friend Anna, who has a bed and breakfast in the Tuscan hills between Florence and Siena. And I really surprised myself. I could just sit in her orchard watching the olives get become plump and do what the Italians call fare niente, do nothing. And it really made me happy
I
just to
love it.
be there. And I thought, well, maybe at some point in life, doing nothing is just as important as doing something. Or
Mm.
maybe it's doing something that nothing to allows you to do something. But I have decided that my future vacations are going to be much more nature oriented than city oriented.
I love that. Doing nothing is just as much as important as doing something. I love that. Yeah, I think
Sometimes.
that takes wisdom to understand. And yeah, I definitely find that I need more space and time to just
Yeah.
pause. Just to yeah, it was yeah. Um, anyway, thank you for playing. I do want to talk about your book. Congratulations on your
Thank
memoir.
you. Do you mind if I
And
show it?
no, please.
There it is. Repeat after me.
Beautiful.
It is the story of, with all the ins and outs of how this company got started as a mom and pop business in an Ohio basement. My office was beside the washer and dryer, so I could throw the diapers in while I was writing, addressing packages of Pimsleur programs to send around and convince people to use it. And how we really got from there to the sale of the company to Simon and Schuster, who have done a wonderful job for the company. But it's also the story of my life with Paul traveling. I mean, we did live in 5 different countries in order to create the Pimsleur
Amazing.
programs. And I had to learn all these different languages, whether I liked it or not. And I found out I did. I discovered that
Yeah.
I loved learning languages. And then, of course, it is the story of what happened after his death and how and the challenges I faced getting the program to where it is, the programs to where they are
Mm.
today. And a lot of things happened to me, including um, learning to dance the tango to get over my grief. So it has a lot of fun aspects as well as aspects of talking about the development of the language. And I do, because people wanted to know, I do explain the rationale behind his method, and talk about how we developed these lessons from, and using, as I say, using ourselves as guinea pigs.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. I cannot wait to check it out. And how can our
Good.
listeners get the
Oh,
book?
it's on Amazon. All you have to do
Okay.
is put in, repeat after me, Beverly Pimsleur, or just Beverly Pimsleur, and my book will come up. And I would love to have the story out there.
Yeah.
My children
Congratulations.
actually convinced me. They said, "You really have to tell that story." So I finally did.
Yeah, how beautiful. I cannot wait to read it.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, awesome. Yes, and thank you for sharing that story of yours in the book and living in different countries. How amazing. Yeah,
Yes. Well,
that
that had a
experience.
lot of challenges because when my husband had the Fulbright to Germany,
Mhm.
we left when I was 9 months pregnant, and
Mm.
I had taken a very not very much German along the way, but I decided that I wanted to have natural childbirth, and we went to a German. I was in a German clinic. And I really gave birth with the German dictionary under my pillow. So,
Oh, wow.
so there are a lot of little anecdotes,
Wow.
and
Amazing.
I'm
Yeah.
actually there's a video series that I've done on both my Facebook and Instagram, where I talk about these different experiences that we had in these various countries, including in Africa with the children, taking them.
Mm.
That was a very big step. And I know my mother really wanted me to leave the children at home, but we did not want to do that. And I think it had a very an influence on my children living in Africa, as it did living in these other foreign countries. And so both my children and my grandchildren are all bilingual. My daughter started her own company called Little Pim, which she sold, but it is still around, to teach children starting really from zero, because the most important thing about learning language is starting early. I bet that was something that you learned too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm speaking, in fact, with my granddaughter. I'm speaking to like speaking second language with her. It's so true. And with my own daughter when she was younger, it's amazing to me how much they remember. When I was young, of course, I grew up in one language. I started learning it later, but with my kids, it's so interesting. Even if we don't speak, like we spoke when they were little, and
Mm-hmm.
it just all stays with them, and
Yes.
even if they cannot express or respond in full sentences in that language, they're fully understanding. It's
Yes.
amazing. It's
And all
amazing.
they have to do is go to that country for a few weeks, and it's amazing how
Hmm.
that that basis is there. And of course, they learn with a perfect accent as well. That is another advantage of learning as
Yeah, it's
children.
true. That's so awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I could talk about this topic forever because it's just so close to my heart.
Yes,
The
yes,
the
and
whole
it's interesting.
language. Uh,
And so you taught English as a foreign language, as I did too, because when we went to these countries, I often taught English to the French, English to the
yeah.
Germans, and that was a wonderful experience as well. So you have had
Yeah.
experience in teaching.
Yeah, just very briefly. And then I went, so I taught Russian speakers, English language to the
Yes, of
Russian
course,
speaking
of
kids.
course.
And then, of course, I went to, I used to work as an interpreter translator, one of my very first jobs, Russian
Ah,
to English, English to Russian. But yeah,
and
so much to do with languages. Hmm.
that's very tough. When I was in Germany, I taught actually in a Dolmetscher Institute. I taught translating and translating, and that's what it was, a
It
school for
is hard.
translators, and
Hmm.
that's very. I mean, simultaneous translation, as you well know,
Oh,
is
yes,
incredibly challenging. I have been
it
asked to
is.
do it in French, and I did it once, and I said never again. Even
Yes,
though my French
yes.
was, very fluent, but
Yeah.
that's a huge challenge.
It is, yeah. And at some point, I remember I did a little bit of a technical, and technical makes it even more challenging. The technical translations,
Yes.
yeah, it's it was a good language learning, and then the way people paraphrase things in different languages. So
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
understanding all of those nuances, right, and being able to translate the way people actually understand, the
Yes.
way they comprehend the words, even though the translate like by word would be the same meaning, but in sentence it might look so. Anyway, there are so many nuances when it comes to that. Yeah, that's so
And
cool. Hmm.
yes, for sure. And and there are words that just can't be translated into another language. They're
Exactly.
too loaded with a cultural
Hmm.
connotation that it's
Very
really
true.
hard. That's a big,
Very true.
huge challenge.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I found that I can sometimes express with one English word a few Russian words.
Yes, yes,
It's interesting how, yeah, in some languages it takes us several words to, yeah, it's fascinating.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Beverly, it's so great to meet you again. And as we are closing here, I want to ask you if there is any closing thought that you would want to share with our listeners, on your mission, on your success. Congratulations with everything
Thank
you have
you.
done.
Well, I would say that the most important thing is to never waver in belief in yourself. You have to just
Mm,
believe in what you are doing, because that will lead you to many opportunities, and also to persevere. I mean, look how many years it took for the Pimsleur language program to become a name, and it's very hard to keep that perseverance. But if you can, there is a wonderful payoff. So, and trust yourself.
thank you.
I trust your intuition. I remember I had a friend who was a lawyer, and when he saw the contract that this partner wanted to give to me, he said, "Oh, this is really, you have to get a lawyer and get a better deal for yourself." And I thought, listen, I'm an unknown, and I just felt that it was the right thing to do, and it turned out to be the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's just so big. I think listening to that intuitive voice, intuition, and instincts, and trust yourself. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for those beautiful, powerful reminders. And thank you for taking the time to come and speak with us today, Beverly. Such a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story.